Alright, so this week I watched two films, Bezhin Meadow and The Cameraman. That's the order they showed up on the race-in, and that's the order that I watched them in, so that may as well be the order that I discussed them in. So Bezhin Meadow, it's from 1937, it's on my list because it's from the 1930s, and I saw the name Sergei Eisenstein next to it, and I said, that's going on the list. I've seen some of his stuff before. He's pretty good. Obviously, he's kind of considered a giant of Soviet cinema. Very entertaining stuff. This is straight up just labeled a propaganda film, and shockingly for a propaganda film, like, this is the weird thing. So it's very heavy with symbolism, as you do. It paints the church in negative light. It tackles one of the pressing issues of the Soviet economy at the time, which was perceived issues with a group that was referred to simply as kulaks. Kulaks, the word kulak literally translates to, like, tight-fisted. So the idea was there were farmers that were holding on to their product rather than handing it over to the state to be redistributed. And so they were considered tight-fisted, and they were, like, labeled as enemies of the people. There's a lot of propaganda about them. Obviously, you know, we know that sometimes these farmers were not just withholding, sometimes they just didn't have any more to give. Like, there was a famine, let's not forget. But yes, this is that. This is a story about our protagonist is a child who lives on a farm with his father. His mother has recently died. It turns out his father beat his mother to death, and he is sad about that for very understandable reasons. And his father is, like, quoting the Bible at him and being like, yeah, I know you want to snitch on me, but, according to the Bible, honor your father and mother, and if you go against your father, then I should kill you. And it's like, Jesus, man, okay. So obviously this is the heavy-handed approach that the Soviet Union took to religion, at least under Stalin, and then I want to say probably later under Brezhnev as well, but I didn't study his domestic policy on the religiosity of the Union quite so much as I am familiar with Stalin's. So yeah, we have a lot of symbolism in this. We have a lot of attention paid to, like there's a scene where the kulaks, after they've committed a crime against the state, they, like, hide, they take refuge in a church, and there's just, like, look at this, gun pointing out from in between the religious iconography. This is absolutely, like, this is so on the nose that I don't understand. This movie was banned. This movie was banned in Russia. Stalin banned it. Stalin looked at this and said, I don't like it. I want it destroyed. And that's what happened. Every copy of the film was destroyed. And so it wasn't until later that they were able to they put it back together. They took, like, scraps of film and the script, and they basically made this. And this is why I hesitate to call it a movie, because none of these pictures move. This is like a slideshow. We get still images, we get interstitial cards, and probably not even original music. It's just music that's played alongside it. I looked at this and I was like, oh, this is a silent film. Okay. This wasn't originally a silent film. This was filmed, like, in between two movies that had sound. Like, this is between, I think this was before Alexander Nevsky, and so like that was maybe the year before, maybe the year after, and it had full sound. So I'm just like, okay, what happened here? And then I remembered, oh right, they had to destroy all copies of the film. That's what happened here. I'm sure it originally had sound and movement, and then it was gone. Thank you, Comrade Stalin. So yes, those are the issues with the film. The plot of it is basically there's this kid, and he informs on his dad as a kulak. And there ends up being, like, a big shootout, and all of the local kulaks end up, like, they get caught in the end, but the kid ends up getting killed. There's a whole lot of scenes in between then and now that are very on-the-nose, pointed symbolism. You know, the kid frees a bunch of doves. There's the scenes in the church, as I mentioned. There's the constant wagging of the Bible at the kid from the father, being like, you have to prioritize me over the state because of what it says in this book. Like, it's so on the nose. I don't understand. Like, what was going on with Stalin? Like, did he ban it in a fit of his paranoia that he was so famous for? I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting piece of history. Film history, definitely. It gives you an idea of what was going on at the time. This was before the war had started outright, at least for the Soviets. So, this was what they were worried about at the time. And, Eisenstein would go on to do bigger and better things that were not ordered destroyed by the state, and also several things that would also not be finished. If you're interested in Eisenstein, you can watch it on YouTube, or you can watch this on Wikipedia. Like, I don't understand what the copyright situation is with films from the Soviet Union, because the country they were created in no longer exists. And any filmmaker who was making movies in the 30s probably already did. So, you can watch this all over the place. If you want to have an interesting look at a window in time, just gaze into the past, this is a good one for it. Just, go in recognizing that this is a film that, by all rights, probably was destroyed better than any other film that we don't still have a copy of. Like, this was all but destroyed. So it is not the sort of thing you sit down and watch like another movie. This is something you have to watch with that in mind. Now, our second film, The Cameraman. This is from 1928. That wound up on my list because it's from Wim Wenders' Adventures in Moviegoing. It's directed by Edward Sedgwick, who is somebody I had not heard of before, and for good reason. It's from 100 years ago, so that fella has been dead for at least 80 of those, I'm sure. This is a romantic comedy. Perhaps one of the original rom-coms. It stars Buster Keaton, and that's what had me like, oh, I should definitely watch something with him in it. Because he was considered, a giant of the silent era. You have Charlie Chaplin, who invented his tramp character, as, like, an icon who managed to make the jump over to, like, the talkies, which is... That's how far back we have to go here. This is a silent film. So that's... Yeah, talkies versus silent films is a distinction we need to make here. Charlie Chaplin made the jump from one to the other. I don't know that Buster Keaton necessarily did, but also Buster Keaton was an impeccable stuntman. You have seen images of some of his stunt work before, I am certain. And some of it showed up in this, I believe. One of the famous scenes where he jumps onto the fire truck to catch a lift to a fire. Here's the skinny. Okay. His character is... He takes people's pictures on the streets for like a nickel, using an old-timey camera called a tintype. How do I explain this? This technology's so old. It would, instead of using like film to capture light, it like uses a chemical process to burn the image into a piece of tin, and that's why they call it a tintype. He's like, they make good ashtrays. So, he's trying to get the pictures, he's trying to sell some pictures to get money, and he ends up getting swept up in a big thing, and he gets the hots for a girl who was there, and he's just like, oh, she's really pretty. So he offers to take her picture, he takes her picture, and then off she goes. He never actually gets a chance to hand it off to her. So the film is basically him trying to woo her, and trying to like get close to her. So he finds out where she works, he's like, hey, can I get a job here? I'm a photographer, I could do that, and at least she works for a news publication, so she's like, yeah, they do pictures here, yeah, you get some pictures and try to sell them to the boss. You just, you need a camera, and this is apparently considered one of the best written comedies, at least in the day, it would have been considered one of the best comedies, like, ever written. Obviously, at this point, it is silent, so you have to rely... There's a lot of sight gags, there's, they do the interstitial cards with text for speech, but they rely very heavily on pantomime and just the way characters act to get across points without dialogue. And that is a whole art to film that you don't get a lot of these days, because it's not something people really need to take into consideration anymore, right? But yeah, supposedly MGM would like make their filmmakers watch this up until like the 60s to be like, do this. See this movie? It's fantastic. Just learn from this. And according to the article, it was such a... They watched it... They made people watch it so much that they wore out their print of the film, which is absolutely bananas to think about. And also, supposedly, this one also was considered lost at one point. But... Because there was like a big fire in the MGM vault, and so a bunch of films got wiped out. And this is the ones that was there. But they found a couple of more copies of it, so it did survive. They found one in like the 60s, and then another one in like the 90s. There was a lot higher quality, but was missing parts. So they combined them and they have a pretty decent cut now. This is another one that is so old. This is, again, nearly a 100-year-old piece of film. It's so old, you can watch it on Wikipedia if you want. You know, when I was looking up some things on this, I was like, oh, there's the movie right there on the front page. Okay. Which is definitely a weird thing to think about. These days we might look at the way his character acts in this and be like, he's pestering this woman at work. She's not in a position where she can say no. She can't tell him to just fuck off. But she sort of can tell him to just fuck off, because like, he doesn't work there. Not originally, at least. You know, he's just some guy off the street who ran in and was like, hey, you're real pretty, can I get a job here with you? And yeah, he was like, you want to go out sometime? And she's like, oh, well, I have a date on the weekend. But tell you what, if he cancels, I'll give you a call. Like, just absolutely, like, the disinterest. But he does the thing where he's, you know, sitting next to the phone. Well, not next to the phone. He's sitting in his room all day because the building has one phone and it's in a lobby. So he's just waiting to see if somebody calls him there. And sure enough, they go out on a date. It is somewhat of a disaster because it has to be a comedy in addition to being romantic. You know, just bad things befall him throughout the entire film. You know, he has to ride outside of the bus because he wound up having to sit on like the top level of the double-decker bus, and she's sitting on the bottom level. So he's just like, I'll just hang off the side of the bus so I can chat with her on the drive. You know, stuff like that. You know, it's classic slapstick. And Buster Keaton, obviously, that is very much his element. That was also fun. In both of these films... Okay, I don't want to say that one was also fun. That one was fun. Bezhin Meadow was not fun. Bezhin Meadow is the opposite of fun. It's not like an unenjoyable experience, but you're very much like... You're watching it for the sake of watching it, because at this point, it is so far removed from an actual film that, like... It's hard to get things from it, you know? Like, you can see what's happening. Eisenstein is heavy-handed, and this being a propaganda piece is very much the same way. So yeah, not unenjoyable, but it's not fun. Whereas this, The Cameraman, fun. I will say that. Definitively, this was fun. And you know, it's like you watch a Ben Stiller thing, and he gets smacked around a little bit at first, and then he comes around and he gets the girl in the end. It's the same thing. This is a 120-year-old formula that is still working to this day. So you know, give them a watch. They're both a public domain at this point. They're on Wikipedia. Give it a watch. And speaking of giving things a watch, what are we watching next week? 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, they're off. Going into this spiral. Everybody drops down onto these things on the side, and then they get sent into a little spiral going into the center. Everybody has to go down into the funnel. And first into the funnel is... Night Moves? Alright, out front, Dead Calm, followed by Monsieur Hulot's Holiday. Oh, no, Never Weaken. God, this is a mess. Dead Calm out front. Technically, my favorite software is Being Here out front. A couple of things died. A lot of things are dying. Into the... we don't want to talk about what that reminds us of. My favorite software is Being Her. Is Way ahead. Is this race already decided? Here comes Never Weakened, Dead Calm, My Dinner with Andre, and Charade trying to pick up in the back here. My favorite software is being here, dropping down through these pegs, no problem, but getting caught on this comb. Will it be able to keep its lead? The answer appears to be yes. Alright, my favorite software is being here. Through to the next set of obstacles, followed by Brazil and Dead Calm, and Fellini's Satyricon. Alright, we got a little speed boost action there. It is rounding the corners, followed by, still, Brazil hot on its tail. God, if I get my favorite software as being here, and then Brazil is second place, I'm definitely not doing Brazil in the same week as another movie. Not happening. It's just juking around these pegs that pop up. My favorite software as being here is just dominating. We're coming up on a jump. If this goes badly for it, oh, Sweet Smell of Success coming up, and Brazil. It is possible. It's stuck on a peg. It's stuck on a peg. There it goes. My favorite software is being here. Makes the jump, as does Sweet Smell of Success. Scanners! Scanners coming out of nowhere. Alright, first place is Scanners. It made the jump, skipped over that catch, and went right into the middle. Alright, well, somehow, out of nowhere. Jesus. My favorite software is being here after being in first basically the whole race. Sixth. Absurd. Here comes Fan of the Monastery, After Hours, Dead Calm, Night Moves, Monsieur Hulot's Holiday, Fierce City, Never Weakened, Dead Calm. The fire is rapidly approaching from behind. I think that My Dinner with Andre may be cooked. Pun intended. And yep, they're dead. Okay. Well, there you have it. First place, our winner officially is Scanners. Show us the final results. Yeah, first place, Scanners. Second place, Fellini's Satyricon. Third place, The Sweet Smell of Success. Fourth place, The Linguini Incident, our other David Bowie film. Fifth place, A Man Escaped, which I believe is a French war film about a prison break from a POW camp. Sixth place, my favorite software is being here. Might be our last short film on the list. I don't know for sure. Seven Samurai, one of our last long films on the list. Eighth place, Phantom of the Monastery, possibly our oldest remaining film on the list. Ninth place, After Hours, I don't remember anything about it. 10th place, Night Moves, I don't remember anything about that. Alright, let's pull up the movie list and I will give us a little rundown about Scanners. In addition to just the fact that I know off the top of my head that it features the internet's favorite head exploding scene. Scanners. Chosen because it's a film from the 1980s. We love 80s films. It's directed by David Cronenberg, so you know that's going to be good. It is a sci-fi horror, 6.7 out of 10, with a runtime of 103 minutes. So, a little over an hour and a half. An hour and 40. You know what? I'll take it. That's fine. Hour 40. We can deal with an hour and 40. No problem. Scanners, though. Oh my god, I'm excited for that. That'll be fun.